What's up, JEFusion fans? This is Philip and welcome back to another toy review. And this time we're going to take a look at Ryuohmaru from the anime Mashin Soushinden Wataru, which is part of the bigger Wataru franchise. So this is actually a powered up version of the main robot, which is Ryuohmaru. But again, this is a power up form, so I went with this one anyways. And um, well, the anime itself isn't really that known, especially outside of Japan. But the Wataru franchise has actually been going on since like the late 80s and probably until the like in the 90s, and then they kind of revived the show in around 2017, I think. But they came out with another installment this year, which is completely brand new. I think they did a completely new spin on the main character, but it's still part of the Wataru franchise. So again, this is Ryuohmaru from the latest installment, Mashin Soushinden Wataru. So with that said, let's take a look at this bad boy right here. So this is a Bandai model, by the way, and yes, the anime is also produced by Sunrise. So let's take a look at his face. Now, because of the hood, there you go. You probably couldn't see it because it points quite downward, as you can see from the profile. But yeah, look at the face closely. So those eyes, if you can see them, those are actually separate parts. Now compare this to, let's say, like a Gunpla model. Like, eyes are typically like stickers, but this one thing that we have to note about the models from the Wataru franchise, or at least for this one, there are zero stickers, nothing at all. Okay, so anyways, before we take a look at the figure, or the model rather, so this is actually the box it came with, right? So this is what Ryuohmaru looks like on the box. So you have some information right here. Okay, so this is the model, and you can see here you can combine it with parts from other models from the same franchise. So as you can see from this picture, so there are parts mixed from says, so Ryuohmaru as a base, Tenshomaru, and Koryumaru. So there you go. So you can mix and match parts. And as you can see from this panel right here, it says like you actually don't need any tools to build this kit. So this is basically like your entry grade Gunpla level. So yeah, no, it says here, like in English, no tools. It just doesn't show clearly on camera, but it says no tools. So you can just snap the parts right off the runners. But I do recommend, at least getting some good nippers if you want a rather clean cut. But because this model is, like I said, basically like an entry grade, so of course, like the show where this came from, it's basically targeted to, it's basically targeting younger audiences and consumers. So this is basically for kids. But I do watch the anime, and I do like the designs. And one of the entries that I've seen way back since like I was 10 years old was Cho Mashin Soushinden Wataru, and I loved it. Okay, so when it was airing, I did want to get like models or figures or whatever they had. Of course, they had models, but I never got the chance to buy figure from Mashin Soushinden Wataru way back then. I remember it was aired in the Philippines in the year 2000, but the actual anime came out in the 90s. But anyways, enough of nostalgia. So let's look at Ryuohmaru. Ryuohmaru is a different unit in the same show, though. So we do have the head. So articulation wise, so the head, yeah, it moves. You can turn it around. You can do 360, however, because of the clavicles, but it moves quite a bit. So the movement is there. So the arms, because of the arms right here, they're quite big. I can move this head, however. This is removable, but I'll show you later. The arms really don't go up that much. However, because of the joint here on the shoulder, so I can show you right here actually. So it does open up. So this ball joint, so the attachment into the torso, it can hinge open, so you get more forward movement for the arms. And of course, you can go 360 like this. Okay, and with the arms attached, of course, you can spin the arms like so. And this is basically a solid kit, right? So mostly the parts aren't loose. So you do have like elbow bend 90 degrees, that's fine. And the hands, they can turn around. So stiff that I turned the whole arm when I intended to turn the hand. But yeah, I will remove the hand later for like the gimmicks. I'll show you guys. So the torso is the biggest issue I have with this kit. As you can see, because it is top heavy, the torso kinda wiggles like so. It's not that loose, but yeah, the weight balancing issue really hits that small torso right there, which, you know, they could have done better in that aspect, but personally, it's not a deal breaker. Although, if you have the option of like being able to strengthen that particular joint, so this is actually on a ball joint. Let me see if I can take this out. So there's a ball joint right here, but like the inside is, I don't know, quite soft. Maybe I could pinch it a bit closer though. I'm trying, but yeah, it's still kind of an issue because of the weight of this upper half right here. So you can see there's a ball joint right here. So let's see if pinching, yeah, I did pinch it closer, so it did tighten up slightly better. Yeah, but it's still heavy nonetheless. But I can twist the 360. Okay. Now, as for the legs, well, I'm gonna split it. So because there are no armors so much for the legs, I can do this. The legs are short. This is basically, and I popped the leg right off, but not a big deal. Just pop it back in. So because all of the mechs in the Wataru franchise are basically SD designs, so this is like the kind of the only design that you're ever gonna get out of them. So let's see if I can pull like forwards movement that far, backwards movement, and there is a knee joint right there. So the feet are kind of on a ball joint, but because of how wide the feet are, you really can't do much. Yeah, it does flip like so. And the toes, you can pull them out and bend them like this. Well, not that it's gonna do anything, but you can, just for the sake of it. Now, as for the gimmicks, well, as you can see, as for the accessories, it does have this sword right here. So this is the Seiryuken. So there is also a part on the back here. So if I remove it a little bit, so in order to attach this bigger part, you need to attach this smaller part right here. And well, there are 3 holes on the back. You actually use the center hole. I believe that the other 2 holes are used if you're gonna mix and match. But, just to show you guys, I am going to take off the right hand. So actually, like most HG Gunpla models, you actually have to sandwich the sword in between the hands. So yeah, you can do it like this. I am going to separate it on camera. Yeah, there we go. Kind of knocks loose. If I can knock this a bit more open. There we go. And I drop the hand. So this is a holster, and you can just slide the sword right in there. And then how it looks on the back, I'm gonna attach it like so. There you go. So that's how fixed. So that's how the sword looks like on the back. So let's pull the sword right back out and snap it right back into place. And I am going to put the hands back together. So again, so this is actually the hand part. You put the sword right in the middle. It actually has a nice grip right there. And to secure it, you put the back of the hand like so. And there we go. And you attach right back onto the arm. And as for the other accessories that this guy has, so these dragon heads on the shoulders, so they can actually be removed. So I am going to use the left arm for this one. And before I do that, so this is the attachment point, right? So it attaches onto this part on the shoulder right here. And it does have some slight articulation, so you can open the mouth like so. Can't reach. There we go. So yes, both dragon heads can open their mouths like this. And now what I'm gonna do, and this is also done in the anime, so I'm going to take off the left hand for this one. You can do this with both hands actually, but I'm going to use just one for this video. So using the same peg, I'm just gonna insert into this armhole right here, and bam. Now you have like a dragon arm, and then open it like this, so you can use it as a flamethrower. There you go. And kind of reminds me of this guy right here. So the Shenlong Gundam, at least in that regard. So yeah, look at them. Like very similar color schemes, and like one of the hands, at least for this guy, can become a dragon and a flamethrower, but this guy, you can do both, right? Really looks awesome to me. So there you go, Wufei. Back you go into storage. Alright. And let's get back to Ryuohmaru. So as you can see. So, well, there's not much going on here. Well, you can actually, by the way, attach an action base of this size right here on the designated hole. So there we have it. Again, design-wise, because it's basically SD design, well, if you do like SD designs, I highly recommend. Now, again, the only issue that you have to be, I'm not sure if concerned is, no, the best word to use here, but if you're concerned about that waist joint, I highly recommend that you strengthen it so that it can hold up all this top weight. But like if you put this guy on the ground, basically there's no problem with that. But if you do lift it around and move it and such, you will definitely see that wiggle. Well, when you shake the legs like this waist isn't going to move actually. It's when you hold it on the legs like this and you wiggle the top that, again, the balance issues really show. But overall, I would say this is still a really solid kit. And even though, again, like I've mentioned earlier, this is equivalent to an entry grade Gundam. Yeah, all of the things that it has, like the use of clear parts, is really impressive. Like you can even see some on the head and the knees, and the articulation for this size, like especially the arms, being able to move them forward like so for more dynamic poses. I don't see much of posing on the legs though. Maybe you can do something, but no. So let's say I pose Ryuohmaru like this. Oh, there we go. So it looks nice, but yeah. There is nice articulation for its size and quality. Again, I would say this is still really a good build that I could recommend to anyone, regardless of skill, whether you're a beginner or like a pro. If you just like the design, then I would definitely recommend this guy to you. So overall, I would give this a 4 out of 5. Like, again, my biggest issue would be here, the waist. But again, being able to do so much for this kind of quality, I would say this is really impressive. And again, it's really simple. It doesn't take a lot. While again, it's marketed as something like an entry grade that you don't need tools, like I mentioned earlier, like I've shown on the box earlier. Uh, Again, you don't need tools to assemble this one. Well, if you want, maybe I would say this is actually not that 100% color accurate, because like on the box, like the model, for example, like has like gold trims painted on the sword, so the handle is actually black and the pommel is gold. Maybe some color corrections on the sword are painted, but yeah, other than those things, like I really enjoy this guy as is, right? And again, the things that you can do, with the dragon heads. You can use them like this. Yeah, I think it's still really awesome, like how it feels in my hands, like so. Yeah. So that's it for my review of Ryuohmaru from Mashin Soushinden Wataru. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, please do leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JEFusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.